Great. So thanks everyone for joining. We clearly have people from all over the globe, and we really appreciate having educators, parents, and caregivers joining from so many different parts of the world. We're really excited to be able to come together as a community today and learn from each other, support each other through these very unusual times, and really get to hopefully learn some new things from the various perspectives and contexts that we're all coming from today. Before we dive in, I'll just share two quick disclaimers. For security on Zoom, we have disabled participants' video for today, but we really would love for everyone to connect and engage with one another throughout our discussion. So you'll still be able to share your thoughts and experiences and questions by writing them into the chat box. And Veronica will be reading out comments and sort of bringing your feedback into the conversation today. The second disclaimer is that we are recording the content portions of this session so that we can share it with peers who were unable to attend due to conflicts or time zones. So that does mean, though, that anything you share with us tonight, we will not be sharing out in the recording, just the content components. So any anecdotes that you share will be erased before sharing the recording out with the public. So feel free to share as much as you're comfortable sharing and just being open with your experiences. So that said, we'd love, again, if you could introduce yourselves in the chat box, share your name, a fun fact, and we will begin. So just quick introductions from the Empatico team. We have a few members that have been working on, team members that have been working on this initiative to bring the Empatico Empathy Hours to light. Not to mention many other team members behind the scenes who have been endlessly supporting to make this community a reality. Veronica is a program associate at Empatico. So she's involved with content and programs like our fellowships, which many of you may have participated in. She's really passionate about leveraging research findings into practical matters, whether that's evidence-based content that you might use on Empatico or using evidence-based well-being practices. And Noah is our associate marketing manager. He was a classroom teacher for 7 years for teaching English in Madrid and 3 years as a bilingual middle school science teacher here in New York City. And he also did some curriculum design at TinyBop and has been working at Empatico for 2.5 years. And my name is Eliana. I've been working on developing partnerships at Empatico. Before joining the team, I was an English teacher in Argentina and worked on a number of projects along the way to bring authentic cultural experiences into the classroom. But more importantly, and the crux of today is Neeru Mittal. So I'm going to hand it over to Neeru to introduce herself.
Hello everyone, I am Neeru Mittal. I teach computer science at SRDAV Public School, Delhi, India, and I've been teaching for the past almost 25 years. I am a passionate teacher and I love to teach the children the way they want to learn. That's the bottom line that I actually use. I am a SEL evangelist and I'm a fellow and a STEM educator. Social emotional learning is very close to my heart. So I really love if I see my class happy, and that's the main motto of my teaching and teaching career, I would say.
Great. Thank you so much, Neeru. It's great to have you here with us tonight. So just going back to why are we here right now as a community? As everyone I'm sure on this call can attest, the last several months have been extremely intense with the double pandemics that we are dealing with right now, both the public health crisis as well as the crisis of racism that has really been a focal point in the US, but I'm sure it has been resonating and reverberating across the globe. So these situations have really escalated quickly and have led to a number of changes in all of our lives. In terms of the education space, we have experienced school closures. There's a lot of uncertainty about the fall and how we can support children through the difficult transition to distance learning or hybrid models. Many of us are working from home. We have our pets in our video calls, our children, spouses. They're all our coworkers now. And, one of the positives that I think we are all seeing is a real proliferation of acts of kindness in our own communities. And if you're anything like me, my family, and my friends, I know we're all connecting with one another virtually now more than we ever did before. So even with all of these glimmers of positivity and hope, during these uncertain and isolating times, I think it's very easy to feel overwhelmed and alone and disconnected. So really now more than ever, we feel that it's important to keep empathy and connection and community at the forefront. So that's really why we're here today as a community through the Empathy Hours. So just a few brief objectives for tonight, and then we'll dive right in with Neeru's presentation. Today, we will be exploring a number of exciting topics around social emotional learning and technology. So just the main focuses for today are discussing strategies on how to integrate social emotional learning into distance learning, how to explore technology and resources that educators and caregivers can leverage at home to reinforce social emotional learning among students and children during these intense times. And then finally, we'll be reflecting on the paradigm shift from in-class learning to distance learning, as well as sharing thoughts, ideas, and insights on maintaining a more sustainable education system in light of COVID. So thank you all again for joining us today, and I will turn it over to Neeru to take it from here.
Thank you, Liana, and thank you, Veronica. We've had such nice thoughts and such heartfelt thoughts coming from so many educators out there. Yeah, we are in a time which is very uncertain for us as well as for our children. And we being adults, we have options, but our children, our students, they need more support from us. They need a lot of love, unconditional support, and they look up to us, at these times. So why do we actually need to study, tell teachers about teaching social emotional learning? Why the sudden, move to social emotional learning? So let me just introduce you to that. As we move into the age of artificial intelligence and machine learning, technology is ever changing. In the past decade, we have seen technology moving from nothing to everything. So it requires continuous upgradation. But prospective employers are now looking for something apart from mere technical and cognitive skills. They are looking for something else. They are looking for emotional quotient, which is a skill in today's job market. So to develop these emotional quotient, we need to impart social emotional learning skills, and these are determined to help in the job market, and they're also determinantal because they really help a child grow up into a successful human being. So first of all, what is social emotional learning? It is basically something like students' ability to understand and manage emotions, make responsible decisions. They also learn to set and also achieve goals. A very important aspect is feeling and showing empathy towards their peers, towards their teachers, towards their parents. And also it means maintaining and connecting, maintaining positive relationships and connecting to as many people as you can. So that is what is social emotional learning. Next slide, please. Having said that, there are some predefined norms. There has been a lot of research which has gone into social emotional learning, and there is a set of 5 core competencies, we would say, which actually tell us how to teach social emotional learning. These 5 competencies are supposed to be developed in the classroom or now through distance learning. These are social awareness, relationship skills, self-management, self-awareness, which is very important. Knowing one's skills, knowing one's weakness, that is self-awareness, which is a very important aspect of a well-being. Then we can also have self-management. Self-management means how a child learns to control his or her emotions, especially anxiety, anger, things which always make a negative impact on one's personality. How to make responsible decisions which are not only helpful for the person himself or herself, but for the community, taking into account other people's views. This is one of the most important, I would say, competencies of self. Taking care of others' views, thinking out of the box and thinking about other people's achievements, about other people's feelings. Then the fifth competency is relationship skills. How a child can maintain, first of all, establish and then maintain relationships. That is also a competence. And all this starts from school, from the teachers, at home also. Next slide. So what I would say is that if I want to sum this up, why do we need to learn these skills? Is that when we develop these core competencies, they are actually going to help the child become compassionate, become happy, and grow up to be a very, very sensitive human being. Apart from that, it helps the child to score well. It helps the child to improve in his social behavior, relationship with his peers, relationship with adults around him. There is also a decreased emotional stress. That means the child will always have a vent, there'll be a vent to let out his feelings. And the feelings will develop in such a way that there is no risk-taking behavior. There's no behavior which needs to be checked by teachers or by parents. So all these competencies are supposed to be imbibed. And there are, I think, lots and lots of ways. And many of the teachers must be doing them in their classrooms. Like, for example, going to the class and connecting with the children, asking them how they are. The first thing should be that, even if when you're teaching online nowadays, we always must connect first. Connecting to a child by a teacher, by a parent is very important, because the child then knows that there is someone who cares for the child, there is someone who cares about the feeling of the child. So that is something which is very, very important. So coming back to my presentation here, we are now going to talk about how we can use technology to foster self. And I would say there are many innovative tools out there in the on the scope. We have lots and lots of free online tools which can be used to foster self. And during times of COVID, when the distance learning is the new norm, and maybe it is here to stay, we might be having hybrid learning. So learning these tools to foster self is going to be a very, very important factor for teachers to be able to stay connected with the students, and for students to be able to perform well, and also to connect or reconnect when the schools finally open up. So I will just go through a few tools here. Next slide. So the first thing, what I would be telling you is I will be talking about the pedagogy, and then I'll be mapping a tool onto that pedagogy. So the first pedagogy is being thankful. Being thankful actually brings about a very, very positive attitude in children. They tend to be thankful. They tend to be thankful to their parents, to everyone around them. And this is a feeling which actually inculcates social emotional learning in them. So to be thankful, we can use Flipgrid. I would say a gratitude wall. A gratitude wall, if you were in the classroom, could be in the form of a sticker wall. But since we are online, we can use Flipgrid. It's a free online video aggregator tool. So what do? The pedagogy is we create a gratitude wall. We create a Flipgrid, call it the gratitude wall. A child can think of at least 3 people who have helped them during the day. For example, a teacher, maybe another student, a peer, his sibling, parent, anyone who has helped the child in some way. The child can go to the Flipgrid and record. Record as in the form of video. And we can make this a habit. Maybe we can have it once a week or once a fortnight. The teacher can show the gratitude wall in the classroom, in the online classroom, and students can listen to all those feelings coming out. So when we see this Flipgrid, what happens is students, they develop a habit of being thankful. Can we have the next slide, Ileana, so we can see the Flipgrid? So this is a gratitude wall. This is basically a tool which I have created. This is one of my gratitude walls. If we could just dive into the gratitude wall, we can actually see how it looks like. It's very easy to create. You simply have to type Flipgrid and you'll get all the tools there. And here we have, this is the Flipgrid actually. And this is where students have recorded the responses. So if you click on any of them, you can actually hear the child speaking up.
Hello, and today I'm going to thank my parents for giving me this life, for teaching me how to live this life, and for always having my back and supporting me in my best and worst times. Secondly, I'm going to thank my teachers who are working efficiently for making sure that none of their students' time and energy goes in vain. Thirdly, I want to thank all the doctors, nurses, and health workers who are working efficiently just for the sake of the betterment of our lives against coronavirus, sacrificing their own comforts.
So this is something we can record. This record will be always there. There are some teachers who use a gratitude journal. So I would say this is the digital version of a gratitude journal. So we can go to the next slide. So we can use this tool to aggregate responses and share it once a fortnight or maybe once a week in the class, and let everyone join in. And gradually we'll have a class full of thankful students. Next slide, Ileana.
Oh, are you not? I think there's a slight delay, so we're still on the Flipgrid page. Okay, I will do a new share.
You can go to yeah, the first one.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So the next pedagogy would be teaching kindness to students. How can they become kind? Kindness is something which is very, very important. We can have something called a kindness diary. If we are in school, we could have a kindness diary where students chronicle their acts of kindness. So going online, we can have a tool called Sway. It is a digital storytelling tool, much like a PowerPoint presentation, where students can actually chronicle whatever act of kindness they've done. Maybe they've helped a very simple thing. Maybe they've helped a dog, save a dog from other dogs, or maybe they've helped an old lady cross the road. As simple as helping their mother in the kitchen. So whatever they feel like is, they can actually chronicle it down. They can write it down in the form of a diary. They can maintain the diary and keep on writing, maybe every fortnight, maybe every week. And when they write it out, and when you share this with the class, and students, they receive applause, it actually helps them to do more acts of kindness. So this develops a very important skill of being kind to others. And being kind to others leads to empathy, which again leads to students becoming compassionate and becoming compassionate human beings. So I would like Ileana, if you can show this way.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a kindness diary maintained by one of the students. And you can see she has just written some notes here. I found an old lady trying to cross the road outside my school, and she just wrote it down. So what she does is she makes it a habit of writing it down, maybe once a week, once a fortnight. And then we can ask the children to present their sway, maybe after some time in the class. So maybe a fortnight, it can be an activity for every month, maybe. And this will really help children to be kind to others and encourage their peers to be kind also. So we could go to the next item. Okay, now we're coming to a very, very important tool, and that is Empatico. One of the pedagogies which I spoke about earlier was building positive human relationships. And Empatico is one of the tools, a great tool, I would say. It is a tool, a video conferencing tool, which uses activities which actually help children to indulge in empathy. There are activities which are academically aligned to build empathy, and we can connect on with any teacher in the world. We can create classrooms globally. We can create activities. We can have virtual tours. We can have virtual exchange programs. And apart from the activities which Empatico provides, we can also set up relationships with some classes in the in our classroom. If I could go to the next slide, if we could go to the next slide. Yeah, so you can see some pictures over here from Empatico exchanges which we had in our classrooms. So here you can see we have been coordinating with students from Albania, from South India, from Argentina, and this is how we actually connect. Students can be connected right from their homes to a classroom, maybe in Brazil, from India, maybe in China, anywhere you feel like. And we feel we are connected, we feel we are actually, talking to those children real time. One more thing which we can actually use Empatico for is that we can actually, try and understand each other's culture. When we do that, we become more empathetic towards the others' cultures. We develop relationships. We can have friends. Like we have lots of friends, in Empatico, through Empatico. We have lots of friends in many countries. We can make long-lasting relationships. Our students have made long-lasting relationships in this country. So this is a very, very important tool, I would say. It's a video conferencing tool and it's free. So if we could just dive and see the activities in Empatico. The sign up is free, and we have lots of activities which are now created for COVID, for pre and post COVID. There are lots of activities which are being created for the COVID part and post COVID also. Teachers can interact with the classroom across the world. There are special activities, designed to help students come out of this, indefinite period of quarantine. So lots and lots of things. And there are some activities which Empatico has designed for students at home, for parents to help their children. So home-to-home connections are there. We have a very, very interesting exercise called bite-sized Empatico skills, where there are lesson plans in English, there are lesson plans in Spanish also. And these activities help students to stay connected even when they're home. This also helps teachers to stay connected even when they're at home. So we don't have a feeling of loneliness. We have a feeling of being connected, staying connected with students as well as teachers of other countries. So you can go to empatico.org and you can actually connect to so many classrooms in the world. These are some of the tools, and the next tool, the next slide, please. So there is an app called the Happiness app, which is known by the name of Hacking Happiness. There's a link at the end of the presentation. You'll find a link to this app. The app actually tries to gauge the level of happiness through an activity called the Happiness Index. It's actually a survey which actually tells you how happy you are, and based on the score, you get a number of resources. Suppose if you are somewhat happy, or if you're in need of being more engaged, or if you're in need of being more elevated, there are activities which are suggested in the app. There are happiness tools here. There are also happy teacher tips, and also tips to how to keep your classroom happy. So you can download this app from Google Play Store, and you can use it with your students. You can use it with yourself as well, maybe your peers, and you can also use the tools which are suggested in this app in your classroom to make your classroom happy and I would say socially and emotionally strong students. Yeah, so during these pandemic days, days of uncertainty, days of things we keep on waiting for the lockdowns to be over, just to hear that we have another lockdown coming out for 2 days. So all these things they really keep us stressed, worried. We are always on our toes. So think we are adults and we are so stressed out. What about the children? They are more stressed out. They're scared rather. They have been confined to their homes, for almost 3 to 4 months now. They're not able to connect to their peers. They're not able to play. They're not able to study, enjoy. They're not able to meet, celebrate, even go to the playground. So children, they have a different kind of energy, which they actually vent out when they go out to play with their friends. So that all adds up to anxiety even more. So a critical aspect of supporting children is to focus on their mental and emotional health at this time. So now let us see how we can support. I would say that in every student's life, there are 3 pillars which are very important: a teacher, a parent, and the school. All three of them are almost equal stakeholders in a child's life, in respect to the academics, in respect to the social, emotional, and mental, stress, mental development of a child. So all three stakeholders have to take on their roles now with even more vigor, with even more, sensitivity, so that we can actually help our children come out of this pandemic with flying colors. And having been exposed to the pandemic does not make them weak, but makes them more mentally strong. So let us see how each of these stakeholders can help a child. Can we have the next slide? So first and foremost, the role of a teacher, which is what we are. Teachers have a very, very important role to play in this aspect. First of all, we must unlearn the traditional way of teaching and learn how to teach creatively using technology. Because online classes are here to stay. We might have the hybrid model, we might have the online model. So we must learn how to teach creatively. We must be, more giving. We must act as catalysts for change. We must be happy ourselves. We must be mentally relaxed ourselves. Only then we can help our students. This is a very important aspect of nurturing. So this is a time when we can help our students nurture their dreams, nurture their aspirations. We can ask them, we can introduce them to a number of resources on the internet. We have lots and lots of online competitions. We have lots and lots of online courses and research on that. And we can actually help our children, overcome this time by helping them to develop maybe a new skill by joining a course which is of their interest. We don't have to just go on teaching, go on lecturing the way we do in class. We have to actually be more interactive. We have to listen to them. We have to listen to their aspirations, help them achieve those aspirations. We have to actually, I would say, be good listeners and facilitators. Overall, we are now not teachers, but we are partners in their learning. So we have to behave like partners. And I would say a teacher plays a very important role in a child's life, because a child listens to the teacher more than he or she listens to anyone else. At certain ages, it is very true, especially for children who are below the age of 10 or 11. They are really, really looking up to the teacher. They are the role models. So this is a time to stay connected with our students, help them overcome this by giving them unconditional support and love. So we go to the next slide and we see the role of the parents. Again, I would say the parents have a very, very important role, just like a teacher. But the most important thing is the parents should provide a sense of normalcy, that they should tell the child everything is normal by incorporating a structure and a routine. That means there should be a routine at home. There should be a structured thing at home, just like it was before COVID. We should not be allowing COVID to disturb our routine. Fine. Having said that, a parent should always give space, especially during this time, give space to the child. Respect the child's time. What I mean to say by this is, for example, if there is an online class scheduled for some time, maybe 9 o'clock, the atmosphere in the house should be made such that the child can attend the class without being disturbed. Either provide a space for the child. There should be a secluded space. By space, I mean literally a space where the child can actually sit and attend the class undisturbed, so that there are no disturbances and the child can actually learn. This is the duty of the parent. If there is no space, the parent should make sure that during the time of the class, there should be no disturbance. We should prioritize the child's learning. By that, I mean, suppose if we have one smart device at home, maybe one laptop at home, and obviously the child also has to work on that laptop. Remember that the office timings or the work timings of the parents can be flexible, but the child of the time cannot be flexible. The child has to attend the class when the class is due. So either make sure the child has access to the technology required, or make sure that the child has a recorded version of the session. For that, you have to make sure that the parents have to make sure that there is enough tech support. They have to take care of the internet connection, provide a proper internet connection, provide a proper space to the child, and support them, technically also. After that, we come to the second aspect, is that the parents should provide unconditional love and support at all times. Not only COVID, not beyond COVID, all times. The child should always have a feeling that no matter what, my parents are with me. And believe me, this feeling actually makes the child confident, makes the child, confident to take on the world, and the child is always secure. The feeling of security will reflect in his personality later on. That is very important. Then we should spend quality time. We should play Ludo. We should play games. We should even, connect with our relatives, through video conferencing. Help the child connect with their friends maybe once a week, twice a week, or maybe with your relatives, maybe the grandparents or the uncles and aunts. So the atmosphere becomes jovial. The child does not feel lonely. Remember, he or she is more stressed than you. He or she is more worried than you about his or her future. So provide that response to the child. The last thing that we should need to do is we should also help the child in the learning process. The way we were taught by our parents. Remember, we used to be taught by our parents when we were small. At least I was being taught by my parents when I was a child. So we should also help them learn. If they're not able to understand something, research for them. Help them with their books. Maybe help them with some extra work. They can help them develop a hobby. Help them develop a skill in this time. Make use of this opportunity and let the child develop a skill. The next one. The role of the school during and the post-COVID is that the school should provide tech support, facilitate the teachers and the students. They should hold regular meetings so that they can take the opinion of all the stakeholders. They can ask the parents, the teachers, and make them a part of the decision-making process. They should formulate some standard operating instructions. That means there should be a restricted screen time. There must be some time allotted to the classes in such a way that students are not overexposed. They should not be stressing on completing the syllabus, the curriculum. Rather, they should be more, stressing on connecting to the children. Another very important thing is schools should have surveys. They should survey how many children are able to attend the online classes, how many of them are actually having access to the devices, so that we can bridge the gap between the students who have devices and those who do not have devices. There should be a means of doing that. Just having online classes, giving out timetables, engaging students is not enough. We have to the schools have to actually gauge how much learning is happening, how many students are able to learn, and there should be a process of evaluation, a process of feedback. All this is required for the school during this time and even post-COVID. As I'm always saying that we might be continuing with this model maybe for some more months. So there should be support given by the school. We should not be rushing up things. Give time to the parents, to the students, and to the teachers to adjust to the new norm. So that should be how the school can support. All of us face challenges while teaching online. So I would just like to discuss a very few, I would say, tips which we should, as teachers, take up when we go for teaching online. When we're teaching in the class, mostly our cameras are off, most of the students' cameras are off. So we should be going in for verbal agreements. Like if we are teaching the concept, we must be taking names of students and asking them if they've understood. That is a very important aspect to engage the students in the classroom to make sure that they are in the classroom. We should have a buffer time. Give the students 5 minutes before to enter the class so that internet issues, audio issues can be taken care of. The presentations which we give should be self-explanatory. And apart from that, we should encourage students to discuss their presentations, share their screens and discuss their presentations with us before submitting. So this actually helps the children to perform better. There should be a way of supervising and evaluating a child. Maybe it should not be something scary, something which is, like you're asking questions which are very, very difficult. No, it should be just a way of self-gauging your teaching, that how much the child has learned. You should be taking questionnaires which are formative assessments which actually tell us how much the child has learned. And one more which is important thing is when we are using presentations, we should always check the links of whatever resources we are using. We should keep a check on that. We should check all the URLs so that during the class, when we click on the link which we want to share with our students, the link should work. There should be nothing like a bad thing. This will discourage a child. Remember that the child is online. I cannot see the child. I can only see the name of the child. So it is very important to make your classroom very engaging, glitch-free, and using ideas creatively. So all this can be done if you take care of some few points. The verbal agreement part is very important. When you actually call out the names of the children and the children respond to you, then you know, okay, fine, the child is in the class and the child is following. This is a perfect opportunity to be more close to your children by having a one-to-one conversation during the class, asking the child to share his or her own screen with some idea. Maybe you're teaching something in the classroom and you want the child to present his or her idea. You can always ask the child to do that. So this, you can turn this into an opportunity to really connect with your children.
We'd love to hear more about strategies for leveraging tech to foster social emotional learning, whether that's something that you've seen in your classroom or that you've seen peers in your community, your professional learning network use. So feel free to share your contact information in the chat box if you'd like to keep in touch with us or be in touch with your peers here. And use the hashtag Empathy Hour on social media to share your stories and how you're taking action. And then finally, we would also like to invite you all while you're here with us today to join us for our next Empathy Hour. So that will be on July 25th, and it will be led by Bukola and Lynn, two educators who have been connecting on Empatico for quite some time. So they will be leading a conversation on addressing the challenges of digital equity through distance learning during COVID-19. So Veronica will post the link to register in the chat, so you can do that now if you are interested in joining. Great, and then here's Neeru's contact information. If you'd like to keep in touch with Neeru, you can find her contact info here. We'll be sending out the slides so you can have all that info with you in a couple of days when we send that out. And then finally, we are really focusing now on doing better to uplift diverse voices through the Empathy Hour series. So we would like to put out a call for anyone that has an idea for an empathy hour on a topic that you think would be meaningful and important for us to address as a community. So feel free to reach out to Noah at the email on this slide with any ideas for sessions that either you'd like to lead or attend, or have an idea for someone that you'd like to lead a session for us. We're really open to that. So thank you all so much for joining. Thank you, Neeru. Please stay in touch with all of us here, and we will send out the slides with all of our contact info and some resources as well. So thank you all.